Welcome to GameStop, home of the GameStop. Can I take your order? Oh, you pre-ordered a copy of the newest Fallout game? Cool! Here's your digital game code and your Vault Boy keychain. What's that now? You also want to buy some authentic retro games? Okay! How does $140 for Pokemon Gale of Darkness sound? Too expensive? Alright, if you're strapped for cash, then that copy of Smash Bros. Ultimate can net you, let's see, $12? Is that better? I know that isn't enough to buy a single game, but that's enough money to buy some of our exclusive merchandise. Do you funk with Funkos? Well, now you can, but only if it's on clearance. Look at us. What have we become? Where has the delicate touch of anything physical gone? They're out of touch, and we're out of time. To help us put into perspective of how lost we are, we gotta get right back to where we started from. Jesus, not that far back. My name is Bloop and not Company Man. I'm just now finding out that this company was founded in 1984, before slowly evolving into GameStop. But don't worry, the name Funko will be coming up soon. That's better, because I can actually share my experiences. Back in their prime, which isn't saying much, GameStop and the likes were the only locations for all of your gaming needs. You had Walmart and other retailers, but it just made a little bit more sense to stop by at the store named GameStop, or to a store with a more dedicated electronics section. Judging from my audience's demographics, I wouldn't be wrong to say that a trip to this mature toy store was a nice treat for any young gamer to go to. Where else would you have gotten a copy of your favorite video game? Maybe you made this memory on your own, or maybe a parent brought you here as a reward of sorts. Game boxes would line the walls, and the DS case would be filled with shovelware and actual games you wouldn't mind playing. Regardless of whatever console or handheld you would have aligned yourself with, every gamer would eventually need to step out into the great outdoors to pick up some new games for the introverted hobby. But the most dedicated of gamers would have taken on the dangerous task of camping out to secure whatever the newest console was. You don't need me to tell you that you couldn't order these things online. I mean, maybe you could, but the average consumer just had to hope and pray that a PS2 would be in stock whenever they got around to buying it. Shortages were still a thing back then. If you couldn't expect God to do all the work, then you better pitch a tent and wait outside to grab one of the first few consoles before you would have to wait however long before they got some new stock. I bet it would have been a nice experience to be a part of. You were surrounded with like-minded individuals and possibly making a few friends. As obtuse as this might sound, but I would say that people camping out for a new console or for a new game is a piece of gaming culture. Besides movies and Black Friday, there weren't any other type of products that people would have camped outside for. As unfortunate as this might sound, but nobody was exactly camping outside for the newest Panasonic microwave. People would camp outside for Apple products, but that tradition died with online pickups. Now that you have your console, what is it without any games? While the console alone is enough to get people camping outside, the games needed some more oomph to get the sales going. So to get you up and into the stores, sometimes these game companies would offer exclusive pre-order rewards. Super Mario Sunshine? Nintendo was actually nice enough to offer their customers a free beach towel. Not that their customers would ever use it. Resident Evil 5? You got a sand globe. It wasn't as functional as a snow globe, but this was just for pre-ordering the game. It was free technically. Fallout New Vegas and 3? You either got some coasters, a bottle opener, or a CD of the soundtrack that looks like a little vinyl record. Look at it, it's so tiny. While these are on the cheaper end, at least they're thematic with the game's settings. You're always popping Sunset Sarsaparillas, so it just makes sense to give you some drink accessories. Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker? Here's a free N64 game and an exclusive mode ported to the GameCube. If you held on to that, then you were pretty much paid to pre-order a copy of Wind Waker. These were some nice trinkets before we saw the rise of digital pre-orders. Not that these digital pre-orders would matter as much, since you would still be able to get these exclusives eventually. If you were a little bit late to the party for pre-ordering, then as long as you got a copy of a game with minimal wear, then chances were that you would have gotten a game manual. Remember how these things had a notes section near the back? Personally, I never used them. but I'm pretty sure there's a psychopath out there that actually wrote notes down in here. I know everyone isn't exactly gathering outside the doors to get a game manual, but some of these are still crafted with love. And maybe it became an item to seek out as a superfan. So what would $40 or $60 get you back in the day if you went in store to buy your games? You could get some decent pre-owned games with some weird box art, but if you had the time and money to spare, then you would get a complete game, a game manual, a pre-order bonus, and an interaction with a human being behind the counter. It doesn't matter if they were a goth gamer girl that would have taken advantage of your wallet, or a shell of a man. You still talked to someone. All that mattered is that you went outside, got some goodies, and you owned your copy of the game that you bought. Nobody could take that away from you, because you're special. Now, why am I telling you about all this stuff? Why am I digging up the past that a lot of my subscribed viewers are probably familiar with? While someone else beat me to the punch of making a video about the bad things with some of these game stores, specifically GameStop, I wanted to reflect on the past and the culture we once had as oppressed minorities. Us gamers. Who are we that do not know our history? Without these past traditions and standards, we are no different than any other type of cattle. Things have taken a turn for the worse as I look around me. It might not be all bad, but these days are long behind us now. All because of the internet. I can't say the exact year, but it wasn't until the late 2010s that things started to change. Toys R Us, Radio Shack, Sears, and Payless have left this earth. And along with their souls, a lot of these physical rewards, locations, and any sense of purpose have departed. Long gone are the days of getting beach towels, sand globes, and N64 games with your 8 out of 10 games. Your new reward for pre-ordering a game will now be office supplies. You have a 9 to 5 now. You can't be having too much fun, so here's a lanyard for your employee ID to hang from. Magnets. Those are perfect for the break room. Oh my god, these pins are not even enamel. They're plastic. If these are slip covers, then I wouldn't be able to see the front or the back side of the art if I put the game box with the spine facing out on my bookshelf. Maybe I'm too stupid to appreciate this paper condom. Now listen, I'm really taking the piss out of these pre-order bonuses. I know not all of them can be winners, but if something like a lanyard is being offered as the incentive to get me up and buying a physical copy of a game, then I won't bite. It's not like I'm missing out on much. Even if it was the greatest lanyard on earth, I can only do so much with it before the next game offers me another lanyard. A tote bag? I mean, I'll keep it. It will come in handy for when I go to Aldi's, but I won't care too much about it if it gets stolen. I know there are exceptions both in the past and present. Back then, I'm positive there were horrible bonuses, but if there was a good pre-order bonus, then you know it must have been special. A good pre-order bonus today would have made for a decent pre-order bonus back then. And a good pre-order bonus from back then would have made its way into a collector's edition box today. Like I mentioned earlier, if a pre-order bonus was on the cheaper end, then the item of choice would have been picked to somewhat relate to the game. A keychain and patches for Cyberpunk 2077? Thanks! But besides the metal keychain, patches aren't screaming cyber or future to me. But if these bonuses don't have that much of a draw, then I'll just buy the game digitally out of convenience. I can't be too upset about these current pre-order bonuses for physical games, because they at least still exist. Unlike game manuals, there's nothing sadder than opening up a game box and seeing an angel without its wings. Where's the game manual? Where's the little booklet that would have had some fun graphics and actual tips? A physical manifestation of the game has been outright removed in recent years. If a developer cares enough to include a leaflet with the game, it will most likely be bland and just contain boring paragraphs. There will be a generation of kids that will grow up and not realize that a game would have came with a booklet. Who's to say that in the next generation, we will have physical games on a disc or on a cartridge? What will these game companies think of next? No, not you too! I don't want to lose you too! Nintendo, why are you guys doing game codes? It was fun to lick the game cartridges. Why bother? Wow. Thank you, Fallout 76. for the saw blade packaging. These companies are really pushing me to download their games now, more often than not. But the game that you just bought will not even be in its complete form. You will need to download the rest of the content and day 1 patches. So unless the servers and storefronts stay up forever, a physical copy of a game will only hold a fraction of its true potential. If we still need to download a piece of the game, what is the point of getting a disc or a cartridge? To spare my console's hard drive from some gigabytes? While this is to the fault of the game developers for wanting to drip feed content and not being too careful if their games launch, what's the point of going out to the store? It also doesn't help that gamers are introverted by nature. Why would we want to go outside when we could just buy and download the game within an hour? It's become too convenient, especially when the outdoors might not even have what I need. I can't buy Arc Raiders or Silksong in stores, so I'll just log into Steam and buy it from there. You and I are also to blame for the death of physical gaming. To be fair, games are becoming bigger and sometimes more expensive. If you were buying games frequently with each year, then there's a slight possibility of you wanting to head to your GameStop. But the odds are slim if you only have the money to spare for one $80 game and one live service game that can entertain you for hours on end. My 7,000 hours in TF2 was merely a financial decision. Do you know how many game purchases were aborted thanks to this one download? What about the physical consoles? The one thing you need in your house to actually download these games. Are they safe? Please tell me they're safe. No! I want to go back to happier times. Like when the word scalper was associated with Native Americans. What's the point of going out to the store or making plans to buy a console if these companies can't meet demands? Why would I bother to show up to my grocery store if they've been out of milk for the past month? And the 10 gallons that they did have, some cocksucker has already bought them all and put them up on eBay for double the price. While resellers aren't scalpers, you can thank them for the ever-depleting vintage game supply. I know your usual game shops won't have Pokemon Emerald for sale. Either you can buy a physical copy for $200 on eBay, or you can just Bing it, or ChatGPT it. I don't search shame. Then again, there might be a subscription-based service that a game company will offer so that you can get all of your vintage games digitally. Getting back to consoles, while older consoles did have the problem of being short on inventory like the PlayStation 2, customer concerns would be alleviated within the year. Bear in mind that the PlayStation 2 was even more popular than the PlayStation 5. It took the PS5 about 3 years for the worldwide supply to be resolved. Who's to say that this problem won't happen again for another console in the future? I'm sure that as consoles develop more moving parts and better graphics, they will need all sorts of components. That one error in the pipeline will have a ripple effect towards its launch. A launch that isn't as celebrated as it once was. The tradition of people camping outside for a console is still alive, but there's almost no purpose for doing so. Like the iPhone in recent years, you could just place a pre-order through your website of choice and you'll get your console risk-free. Who knows how many years this beloved tradition has left before slowly fading away from history, like stoning. It's more of a novelty nowadays. I never got to camp out for a game console, but while I imagine it to be a little hellish to wait outside in whatever weather just for a console, at least you were in the foxhole with your fellow gamers. Gamers that have slowly drifted apart from each other. While the internet can do wonderful things, like connecting us with people halfway around the world, we are now able to get a lot done without having to leave our corner of the house. There's a rise of loneliness thanks to it. Combine the internet with a hobby best suited for introverts, and we have shut-ins. With everyone staying indoors, then too will these game stores shutter their own. Or at least, this deterioration will cause a loss in identity. What purpose does GameStop or any store that has a gaming section serve now, if you can just buy your games online and the consoles will only come twice a decade? This is a fate worse than death. I'm only stopping in for games, not slop. In a desperate attempt at staying relevant, these stores will latch on to anything trendy. You're a diet hot topic now. I'd rather go to box lunch and talk to the kawaii honeys that might walk in. You know you are fucked if Fangamer has better physical merchandise than what your inventory can offer. While I'm touch-starved, that doesn't mean I'm willing to bend a knee to any has-been. I see a cold and dank future. The next Glitch Production series will fill even more of the shelves for godless souls. Our game boxes will no longer contain games, but just macroplastics and cardboard. And in 2525, your last form of human connection will come from VR chat. And while I've been harsh to these stores, it was never their fault. I mean, maybe a little bit. Like some of these stores probably closed down to their own stupidity. But GameStop was innocent in all of this. They are now vulnerable and confused. They are desperate. They are trying to give the times by latching onto everything. Anime, baseball cards, cheap figurines of Marvel heroes, YouTube web series, memes, references. At some point, we must say goodbye to Grandma and take her off of life support, because this is just getting embarrassing. Nobody deserves a fate like this. There's no turning back. I didn't want to say goodbye, but he's not here with me anymore. While everything may seem dark, blue, and cold, it's up to us to remember these memories and hold on to hope for better and warmer days. I can't be stuck in this past forever. This isn't nostalgia baiting, grifting, nostalgia glasses, or whatever some loser Reddit or TF2 tuber might say. If we fail to maintain our standards, then anyone can just set the bar low and treat us like some whores. We will own nothing, live in the pod, and no one will have any more of my pink cookies. But who am I? I'm just an animator reflecting on the past and warning you about the dark path we're on. For those that have taken a piece of what I said to heart, what do we do? Are we destined to a future of only digital games, online friends, and shitty physical collectibles? I believe so. Oh well, guess there's nothing we can do about it. And there's no point in worrying about something you can't do anything to fix. I've already said goodbye. There's no point in crying about him never coming back. But if you are out there watching this, go out, spend some time with your family and friends, and have yourself a nice Christmas cheer. And for everyone else, like the video, leave a comment about your fondest GameStop memory, and subscribe so I can keep on sharing my pink cookie. I mean cookies. Thank you for watching the video, and big shout out to all the people that have made fan art or adopted a puppet Sona. You can also commission me for a puppet Sona over on the Patreon. This has been a good 2025, and we will see what we will do for 2026. Either way, I know I will be counting on everyone's support that has helped me make it this far. Enjoy the holidays, and you better have a happy new year.